when you were treasurer, and you were treasurer through the whole second term.
Through the 4 years, yeah.
What issues were you involved in?
Wow. Well, you have to sort of think about it in terms of the agents, the pieces. The budget is in the Treasury. We had a very, very strong budget secretary, Dick Standiford, who pretty much ran the budget process with the internal agencies. But there came a point when we were essentially really rolling in money, where my job was to provide credence to the notion that we shouldn't spend it all, that we had to maintain a lot of fiscal discipline because of the potential, the obvious point that the economy was going to change. And I was quoted in one paper as saying, quoting Cole Porter, "It's too hot not to cool down." So that fiscal role of that. And then at the same time, when the economy crashed, I spent a great deal of time.
When did it crash?
About a year, about 10 months before we left office. So it would have been in early '89. And that was an extremely difficult budget. By then, Debbie Poritz was chief counsel, and so she and Dick and I, mostly I have to say Debbie even more than Dick, finally brought the budget together that year. It went to July 2nd, and we spent a great deal of time figuring out.
2 days past the constitutional deadline.
Right. And because of the way we do a lot of our long-term financing in New Jersey, we were in technical default on billions of dollars worth of appropriation-dependent debt. But leading up to that point, but it was a holiday weekend, which is what saved us. But leading up to that, we were lapsing money like crazy just to keep the budget and the state solvent. And I spent half an hour on the phone every Friday afternoon with Hy Grossman, who was the head of S&P, the managing director of S&P, who watched New Jersey like a hawk, convincing him, reporting to him, and essentially keeping the AAA alive during that period. So you had the budget stuff. The pension was very well funded then, and one of the things that we did with the governor's blessing was to recognize all of the retiree health benefits as part of the accounting for what the pension funds had an obligation for, so that we fairly represented the true forward obligations of the taxpayers and the pension funds. That caused a lot of consternation with some of the unions, particularly the corrections and police, because they wanted 20 and out. They wanted early retirement. And we basically said we have health benefits to pay. They more than take up the excess fundedness of our pension funds. And we essentially countered them with that. That wasn't the reason we were doing. We're doing because, as a fiscal matter, we really should recognize the health benefits downstream. But it was a lot of conflict, and I've forgotten his name, Bill Faulkner, something like that, who was head of corrections.
Bill
Favre, and the union corrections leader were good friends during that period because I was very stubborn about it. I felt very strongly about how we should do it.
They wanted 20 and out, and you wanted what?
I said no because I felt that the pension fund, even though it looked healthy and that might absorb additional pension benefits, did not recognize at that point the mandated retiree health benefits that were really an obligation of that fund. And so, in fact, now the new GASB obligations require public pension funds to count up and measure the cost of those health benefits, just as I was trying to do in our as we worked through the fiscal condition of our. At the end of the term, I was so concerned about the way the pension funds became a sort of a gotten into a tug of war with different interests, that we hired 2 different actuaries that were not already associated with the New Jersey pension funds, and had each of them look at, I guess it was probably the PERS, yeah, the main one, had them look at it. One was an actuary typically hired by labor unions, and the other was typically hired by management. And we spent a day, we invited the Florio team in, Sam Crane and whoever else I can remember was part of the transition. And we spent a day with the dueling actuaries because I wanted them coming in to understand what had taken me several years to learn, which was it all depends on how you play the numbers, what message you get. And that put them in a position of being able to make really good, Rick Wright was there, make good choices, knowledgeable choices about what they wanted to do with the pension funds and with the pension assumptions.
Pension fund must have looked awfully healthy back then compared to how it looks 21 years later.
Yes, it was probably one of the best funded in the country.